So earlier this month, I was asked to see a woman who was losing weight because she was not eating. And not only had she called saying it was urgent, but a family member had called me and said, I'm really worried about this person. So the backstory is, which I already knew before I saw her, that she's had a very traumatic life. And what I found out that day, as we talked about why she wasn't eating, is that the trauma went deeper than I had imagined. She had actually been physically abused. She had been abused in other ways that I'm looking for little kids in the room, just abused as a child from older people, family members, and had been also hit and physically and verbally abused by her husband in the more recent years. And it was complicated by the fact that she also had done very hurtful things to others, and some very hurtful things, and had pushed people away who tried to care for her, and had also done things to hurt herself. So that's all actually not very unique or rare. We actually see that about daily in our clinic, people who've had that kind of background. What was rare was what came out that day, which was that she began, as I asked her a lot of questions about why she wasn't eating, it became true that she told me that she wasn't eating because she didn't like herself. And actually that her husband and others had told her her whole life that all these things that happened to her were actually her fault. And when she was 5 years old, she would run around and tell her sister, I wish I'd never been born. I wish I'd never been born. She told me those things that day, and I realized that she actually hates herself. She doesn't know that she's loved. And so we talked about that, and I just wonder, it's rare probably for us to have had thoughts like that I wish I were never born, or even more rare to share that with someone else, but how much more common is it to look at our mistakes and think, how could I be loved?
So what Katy didn't share is what happened at the end of that interaction. So she sees this patient who's literally killing herself. She's not eating. She's pushing everyone away because she does not feel like she's loved. And so Katy writes her a prescription. On the top, it's got some medicines that she's going to take to help with various aspects of her physical health. But then there are 3 sentences written on the prescription. And Katy says, you need to say these to yourself out loud every day for the next month. And when I see you, I'm going to check in. And she had this patient read these 3 sentences out loud. And they were these. Number 1, God made me. Number 2, God loves me. Number 3, I am not a mistake. And then my wife puts a hand on her, prays over her, that she can actually know how wide, long, and high and deep is the love of God. Because it's not just this patient. This is me, this is you, this is our children, our neighbors, our friends. This is us. Whether we call ourselves Christians or not, this is the brokenness that we experience, and this is the awesome news of God. This is why they call it good news. It's because God made you, God loves you, and you're not a mistake. The third piece that Paul